Governmental budgets are always tight. Belts are constantly being tightened in communities around the country, and unfortunately, this means budget cuts for services that some think of as extras: city parks, recreation programs, and yes, public libraries. Our guests say that cutting funding from libraries is counterproductive and can hurt economic development in the long run. Dr. Timothy Christ is the president of the Board of Trustees for the Newark, New Jersey Public Library. He says that often people in a city have the idea that public libraries are just for people who want to read the latest how-to book or check out a novel.
We really have to get across the point that we're future-oriented, that we're all about helping people create their futures, not just explore the past. Find jobs, develop their skills, find ways to carry out their dreams. And those of us who support libraries, work in libraries, that's what makes it exciting, because it is about the future. I think we have to do a better job of getting that across to our city councils and public officials.
Christ says that at the Newark Public Library, they serve 1,000 people every week who are looking for a job or who want help writing a resume. Not to mention the services they're providing to foreign residents and people trying to navigate the maze of public agencies.
We're teaming up with a local community agency to provide English as a second language for adult immigrants. We're doing a lot more on the social service access point, helping individuals sort out health care issues and their options in Medicaid and under the Affordable Care Act. Providing really fast Wi-Fi is important. A surprising number of Newarkers really don't have access to computers or to Wi-Fi service in their homes, and they depend on the library to provide access to information. But one of the ways libraries have changed is that traditionally they were a place to access and store information. We think libraries going forward are going to be much more defined by helping people connect and exchange information.
Increasingly common, Chris says, is the use of the library as a neutral meeting place for opinions and ideas to be voiced.
So we're putting a bigger emphasis on meeting rooms and workrooms, on allowing people to gather and exchange ideas. One of the ways we're doing that is through the public policy discussion. But it was a place where law enforcement officials, the mayor, members of the city council, not only from Newark but from around the state, and community activists, some of the strongest community activists, could talk about police-community relations. The library as a trusted place, as a neutral place, is increasingly important in our really fragmented society.
If you've been in a public library lately, Chris says you'll notice that it's typically not the old stuffy building full of librarians trying to shush visitors. He says that the noise level is a gauge of just how well their librarians are serving the public.
Well, libraries are increasingly noisy. We're finding that density of raising the energy level in a room is one of the ways to attract more users. You still want to have quiet spaces for some people. Librarians have that very, very important role of helping individuals track down information well past the top 10 results in a Google search and help them get to the next step in whatever they're trying to do. But even more important, it's thinking about how libraries can serve people 10 or 15 years from now. And that's what I find at the Newark Public Library excites our librarians most. They want to experiment, they want to try new things, they want to find new ways to connect with patrons.
Literacy is an important part of the library's function, and that means helping people of all ages become better readers. Chris says that the Newark Public Library has a number of strategies for making libraries a family affair, no matter where a family comes from or how well they can read.
One of the most important things in helping a child learn to read is the support of his or her family. And we're putting a strong focus on family literacy efforts. We've worked with a group called Newark Mommies for toddler story hours and arts and crafts. We are using our remarkable collections related to the great migration of African Americans to Newark and to the Latino immigrant experience to develop family literacy materials, because we think that families will support their children in reading if they're reading about their own stories, reading about experiences very similar to what their family went through, their parents or grandparents. And that's one of the ways that we can help members of our community work with their children and help them learn to read.
Not only do libraries help kids with reading skills, they can also inspire kids to read more and perhaps become authors themselves. That's Karen Slaughter's experience growing up in a small southern Georgia community. Slaughter is an internationally best-selling author and also the founder of Save the Libraries, an organization that has donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to fund libraries in underprivileged communities.
I didn't come from a reading family, but my family recognized I loved to read, so every Saturday I would spend the whole day at the library, and the librarians would put such wonderful books in my hands, like To Kill a Mockingbird or Huck Finn or Gone with the Wind or Sarah Paretsky or Sue Grafton, or, there was just this whole world I didn't know about as a young woman that was opened up to me through literature. And, I read about England, I read about Saudi Arabia, I read about all these different countries, different cultures, different people, and I did that sitting in the reading room at a small library in South Georgia. It opened the world to me in a fundamental way.
Even today, Slaughter says she uses libraries to conduct research for her novels, to find background information about the times and customs of the people and places she writes about.
In America especially, our entire history is at libraries. Whether it's the Library of Congress, whether it's, I can go to a library in Savannah and I can learn about slave trade and I can learn about the census at the time. When I was researching my novel that I wrote that's set in the 1970s in Atlanta, I went to the library and I found on microfiche the Atlanta journals and constitutions and the Atlanta Daily World from that time period. And who else but the library is going to keep all that stuff? If I had probably gone through the archives for the newspaper online, I would have spent a lot of money paying for those copies. So it was great to just be able to go there. And of course, Martin Luther King Jr. was born in Atlanta, and there's a great Auburn library that's where he was born in downtown Atlanta near Sweet Auburn. And there's so many wonderful resources there about the civil rights movement and the great men and women who made this city possible.
So how can average citizens help support libraries in this time of cutbacks in communities large and small? Both Christ and Slaughter say that individuals and groups can contact local officials and make sure they know how important the library is to the community and how it helps everyone, no matter what their age, race, economic status, or occupation.
Look in your own hometown, and if you have a great library system, then look next door, because usually if there's a really great county that's in great shape, there's one next door that may not be in that great a shape. And just put your money there, because it really does help you in the long term to have kids who read and who are educated and who are engaged with society, as opposed to kids who get the message very early on that we don't care about them. It's been proven time and again that for $1 spent in the library, it returns $5 to the community, and that's a really meaningful return. There's nothing else that government can invest in at such a basic level that gives that kind of returns. It's very short-sighted thinking on their part to look around and say, of all the things we cut back on, let's do the library.
You can find out more about Karen Slaughter on her website at karinslaughter.com. For information on Save the Libraries and to learn how you can help, log on to their site at savethelibraries.com. To find out more about the Newark Public Library, its programs and events, Dr. Christ invites listeners to their website at npl.org. For information about all of our guests, log on to our site at viewpointsonline.net. You can find archives of past programs there and on iTunes and Stitcher. Our show is written and produced by Evan Rook. Our executive producer is Reed Pence. Our production director is Sean Waldron. I'm Marty Peterson.